So we are measuring and cutting out a bubu gown. So this is the process for measurement. Fold your cloth into two, measure the full length. The full length we are using is 38 and 2 inch for folding allowance, making it 40. Then the shoulder and the sleeve length is measured together. It doesn't measure the shoulder different. So the shoulder and the sleeve length divided by 2, we got our own 17. Then the round sleeve is 8 plus 2 inch sewing allowance, making it 10. This is where we are marking the 10 out. Then you bring out a line of where you will measure your waist, bust and hip. Our bust is 9, where we will bring out the measurement is 9. Then the waist is 16. Then hip is 25. Then after bringing out the lines of the numbers, then your bust measurement plus 8 divided by 4. What we got our own, the measurement we are using is divided by 4, we got it 12. Then add it 2 inch sewing allowance. Then your waist measurement plus 8 divided by 4. Then you mark out what you got and 2 inch sewing allowance too. Then your hip measurement plus 8 divided by 4, add 2 inch sewing allowance. You can decide to add 6 or 10, but we decide to add 8 on our own. Then you join the lines together till you go to the down of the cloth where you measured your full length. Then you mark out the sleeve and join the lines together. Then we want it to have round neck, and the length of the round neck we are using is 4.5 because I don't want it to be too big. Then down of it we are using 4. Then you give it a V curve, you give it a round curve, sorry. But if you want to do your own a V curve, we can still show you how to do a V curve on our next video. But here we are using a round curve. You cut it out. Then after cutting all those things out, you now fold the back again and cut out the same thing on the back with using the front. You cut out the same thing. And our bubu gown, we are making one shoulder off. We are doing off shoulder on one. Then after cutting out both the front and the back, then you open the cloth, place the right face together. After placing the right face together, we are about to cut out the off shoulder of one shoulder. So what we are going to do now is, from the shoulder you measure 4 from the shoulder down. Then from the end of the sleeve you measure 5 upwards. Then you mark what you got. Then you cut it out as, you give it a curve. Yes, you give it a curve, a slant curve, and you cut it out. This is how I cut it out. Then we'll go ahead with